Hey Temple Sholom, this is David. I am in Evelyn's garden here. I'm on House and Grounds, and I thought I'd take a few moments to talk about the trees that are in the background of Evelyn's garden. We planted these trees a couple years ago, and kind of why they're here, why they're set up the way they are, how we maintain them. So we have 3 trees that are in the garden. They are trained in a way called espalier. Espalier is a pretty ancient technique of training trees basically horizontally across a trellis. It originated back in Egypt and Rome, and it was used a lot in the courtyards and small spaces to help grow a lot of fruit. It also absorbed some of the heat from the stonework and was able to maintain health through colder periods of time. So we thought it'd be a good backdrop here for the garden because it gets great sunlight. It also is directly in the ground, so we don't have to worry too much about irrigation. And it's an evergreen throughout the season. So, but basically, this is the time of year where we do one of our 2 prunings. We usually do a pruning in the middle of winter. So it's mid-February right now. It's been very, very cold. It's about 25 degrees right now, 30 degrees. And the trees are asleep. So this is a great time to kind of shape them and train them before they wake up for spring and kind of explode back into growth. So the 3 trees we have are, and I'm going to turn the camera around here. We have the Chinago strawberry, we have the Gravenstein, and then we have something called a Stark spur. And the reason we have these 3 different varieties is we have a early, mid, and late harvest set of apple trees. And so no matter when Rosh Hashanah falls throughout the course of the season, hopefully one of these trees will be fruiting and mature and able to provide apples for us. A couple other pieces of maybe Jewish cultural significance. Obviously, apple trees themselves fall into that category, but we've trained them in such a way that we are going to have our 3 trellises, and so each of the trellises are 18 inches apart. You can see here the wires. These are 18 inches apart. We're going to add our 3rd wire here. This is going to be their 3rd growing season, so they should start to bear fruit pretty soon. These trees are on semi-dwarf rootstock, so they're going to cap out at about 15 feet tall, but because of how we train them, we're going to keep them at about the fence line. And so we'll have 3 trellises and then a central leader, which actually will form into the shape of a menorah. So we'll have each of the 6 branches kind of curving up, and then that top one is the 7th. Yeah, I think that's it for now. But I'll show you kind of the before. You can see they're looking pretty scraggly from their summer growth. And once I trim them back and shape them, it's going to look pretty severe. But what that's going to do is it's going to allow the tree space to grow, and it's going to create fruiting spurs, where we'll start to get fruit off of those spurs as well. So we train them in the winter, and then we're going to train them again in the summer, late summer, when the wood starts to set. And the branches that I'm going to take off now, those are actually called scions, and we can use those to propagate new trees. And so the wood that we're cutting off now is not going to go to waste. We can use it to graft onto other trees and create new trees from it. And so that's what we'll do. All right, thanks. Okay, we're back post pruning. We've got lots of wood we took off for all 3 trees. And this is the after. As you can see, pretty severe cutback. And what we're doing is we're encouraging, this is actually 2nd year growth. And you can see all of what I cut back is from this year. And if we look carefully, we can see on this 2nd year growth, we have what are called fruiting spurs. And so all of these trees are spur bearing fruit type as opposed to tip bearing. So apples are going to form off the flowers on these spurs instead of at the tip. There's a couple different varieties of apples. So all of these should bear fruit on the fruiting spurs, which come on 2nd year wood. And we can look again at this trellis, right, from 2 years ago. We see more fruiting spurs. That's a good sign. And basically what I'm doing is I'm cutting back to a handful of buds here. I'm going to try and do the outer bud so that this can grow out. But we really want to keep this shape pretty contained. And at the top, I've cut it around 18 inches up so that as we see 2 buds here, we can start to train those onto that top trellis. And you'll see for all 3 of these, it looks pretty severe, and it is. But it's really for the shape and the health of the tree. And this is the right time of year to do it, when the tree is really fully dormant, and it's not going to be impacted. So hopefully this is helpful, and hopefully we'll get some apples this year as well.